and welcome to Cover 2. My name is Billy Petty, and if you missed last week's show, the show Cover 2 is all about reviewing the NFL in the week that has passed. So week 4 has passed, and a lot of good games took place. A lot of blowouts also took place, and we're going to go over them all here in the next half an hour, so I hope you enjoy. We're going to start off with the Thursday night football game. That was 49ers at the Rams. The 49ers took care of business, 35-11. Last year, the Rams took this series. They won in St. Louis, and then they ended up tying in San Francisco later in the year. And if you remember that game, it was the game where David Akers missed multiple field goals in overtime. So that was a Thursday night game. Colin Kaepernick came out. He played well. The option seems to be a thing of the past so far. They're not very successful running that. However, Kaepernick threw the ball pretty well in this game. It looked early on in the first quarter like it was going to be another week for San Francisco where they just could not get their offense going. But, the Rams always prevail being the bad team. I contemplated picking the Rams in this game because of what happened last year. But the Rams just have no running game at all. They have no offense. Their defense looked good in the first quarter, and then it really caught up to them later on. So there you go, 35-11. San Francisco takes the Thursday night game. Okay, so now we go to Sunday, and we get two 0-3 teams to match up, and the Steelers and the Vikings. And they don't play in Minnesota, and they don't play in Pittsburgh. They actually end up playing this game in London, and basically this game was going back and forth. The Vikings took a little bigger of a lead, and the Steelers kind of came back a little bit. But turnovers, again, bit them in the behind as Ben Roethlisberger turned the ball over 2 or 3 times in this game. I'm not sure exactly what, but he had one late critical turnover where he continues to hold on to the ball, and he fumbled it. They were down on the goal line, having a chance to get it within 3. Basically, it was a strip sack, and that ended the game. The Vikings kneeled on it, and that was it. So the Steelers fall to 0-4. The Vikings now 1-3. Both teams going into a bye week for Week 5. The Steelers, really their season is looking like it's over at this point, but hopefully they'll be able to turn around. Le'Veon Bell looked good in this game. He scored 2 touchdowns. There was a quote out today that said, Le'Veon Bell said that, everything is fine. They're not going to change anything. What I have in response to that is more so, you're not going to change anything. Something needs to be done because something is not working. In the first couple weeks, pointing fingers at Todd Haley, we pointing fingers at Roethlisberger in this offense, and it has come around a little bit better these last few weeks against the Bears and against the Vikings, but overall, we still continue to turn the ball over. We still continue to get sacks. The offensive line is abysmal. Gilbert on the end, and also the other tackle on the left side is playing absolutely terrible. DeCastro is holding up all right. We saw Pouncey get hurt. Other than that, this defense the last couple of weeks has let the Steelers down. We've seen Larry Foote go down in Week 1. There's no Casey Hampton this year. There's no Keenan Lewis this year. So we're relying on more people like Lawrence Timmons and Ike Taylor and Brett Kiesel, who are all getting older. The best player on the defense definitely is Lawrence Timmons. A lot of people say it's Troy Polamalu, but I think he is way past his prime, and he is more towards the twilight of his career than he is the prime. Moving on now, we go to the Baltimore at Buffalo game. This game was interesting. The Ravens offense really struggled to get going again. Joe Flacco turned the ball over 5 times, 5 interceptions. That's a career high for him. Buffalo, E.J. Manuel seems to look, better and better each game. Stevie Johnson was a guy who really got bottled up in this game. Anyway, Buffalo went on to win 23-20. Ravens had a chance late in the game to go down and get a game-winning score. However, Joe Flacco threw his 5th pick of the game, and that was it. and then EJ Manuel kneeled on it, but when he kneeled on it, Terrell Suggs went in and he tackled him. It was clear he was going to take the knee, but at the same time, when he hiked the ball, he backed up a little bit, and then he took the knee. Terrell Suggs tackled him. And they threw a flag. They threw a 15-yard flag. It basically took away the chance at all. The Ravens had to get the ball back and have a Hail Mary shot maybe at the end of the game. So I disagree with that call because you have a chance to maybe get the fumble, get a strip sack. He is not down on the ground yet. It's one thing if he hikes the ball and he's immediately down. EJ Manuel on this play, he took 3 or 4 steps back and then he took a knee. And his knee was not even on the ground when Terrell Suggs came in and made the tackle. So I disagree with that call, even though I don't like the Ravens. But I disagree with that. Cincinnati, Cleveland, nothing going on much in this game other than Andy Dalton continues to struggle. The Cincinnati offense continues to struggle. AJ Green nowhere to be found in this game. Another guy who really continues to impress week in and week out is Jordan Cameron of the Browns. They've gotten rid of Richardson. They've gotten rid of Whedon, essentially, kind of weeding him out of that starting role. Brian Hoyer's done a nice job for them. But Jordan Cameron continues to be the primary target on this Browns offense. Moving on to Detroit and Bears game. Coming into this game, the Bears won last week. They were looking very good. Their defenses look strong even without Brian Urlacher. Tillman continues to play well, and Jennings, their secondary, is their strong point. Julius Peppers plays well, and the Lions took this game 40-32. The Bears defense did not improve at all. They are terrible against the run. Reggie Bush ran all over them, and they made a little bit of a game late. Jay Cutler fumbled the ball a couple times. He struggled a little bit with the turnovers. The offensive line looked a lot worse than it had in the previous 3 weeks. So the Lions come on top 40-32, a huge win, a huge divisional win for them at home that they needed to get. The next game was the Giants at Kansas City, and if there was any hope that the Giants could get back on track, it was not this week. The Giants struggled mightily once again. Eli and this offense having no effect. Other than Victor Cruz, you can't say one guy is playing up to the way they are capable of playing on the Giants. Kansas City ends up taking this one 31-7. The one advantage that Kansas City had in this game was Andy Reid coached against the Giants for many years, and he knows their philosophy, he knows their tendencies, so that is part of the reason why I think it was so lopsided. It was at Kansas City, and the Giants are in such a funk right now that it seems like any team, even the Jaguars, can beat them. Moving on, Arizona and Tampa Bay. Mike Glennon got his first start of his NFL career after the benching of Josh Freeman. He did all right, except for the turnover late in the game that, kind of let the Cardinals come back. There was Patrick Peterson had a pick six that tied the football game up. It went into overtime, and he picked off yet another pass, set the Cardinals up in field goal range, and they win the game 13-10. Moving on, Indy beats Jacksonville 37-3. News in this game is nothing great other than Jacksonville is a horrible team. MJD continues to struggle. Fantasy owners that took him high, I feel bad. The Colts continue to be a good team. They beat the 49ers, and now they beat Jaguars. Only lost on the season coming against the Dolphins. Anyway, they take this one 37-3, and they improve to 3-1. Next game is Seattle at Houston. This game was a great game. Houston jumped out to an early 20-3 lead. They were doing very well against this great Seahawks defense. And you see it every single week. The Seahawks are a much different team on the road than they are at home. For some reason, the games always seem to be a lot closer on the road when Seattle plays. And it definitely was here. Like I said, Houston jumped out to a 20-3 lead. Seattle comes storming all the way back. There's about 3.5 minutes left in this game. It's a 3rd and 4. and Matt Schaub has the ball. And I like the decision on, Gary Kubiak's part to not be conservative, go for the win. Don't play not to lose, play to win. And that's what he did. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It was a bad decision by Matt Schaub. He continues to try to force the ball into Owen Daniels on play in and play out, and he did with this one too, and it ended up in a touchdown the other way for Richard Sherman and the Seahawks. And this was very essential. So basically tied the game up at 20 and went into overtime. Houston got the ball back. They couldn't do anything with it, a couple punts here and there. And eventually Seattle gets it in the field goal range, kicks a field goal, and they break the hearts of many Texans fans. Next game, Tennessee, the Jets at Tennessee. Jake Locker, who was having a very promising year this year, really the year that he needs to show everybody that he belongs in the NFL as a starting quarterback, and he's been doing well, through the first 3 weeks. However, in this game, he started out well again, and unfortunately, he got hurt. I'm not sure exactly what the injury is. It seems like he'll be out for an extended period of time, which means that Ryan Fitzpatrick will take over and be the interim quarterback for the Titans, who has done a good job with the Bills in years past. So he's a reliable backup. Hopefully Tennessee can keep it going. They won this one 38-13, Geno Smith. We saw the Butt Fumble 2.0 where he fumbled in the end zone, and the Jets continue to look like a disaster. We look at Philadelphia and Denver. Peyton Manning continues to light up the record books. I mean, you could say he's throwing all these short passes, he's doing this, he's doing that. I mean, the reason why it looks so easy for him is because what he does before defense, or before the ball is snapped, pre-snap reads and all this stuff, he takes what the defense gives him. And if it's going to be a 5-yard slant that goes for 80 yards, let it be. It's helping this team win. They won 52-20. Peyton Manning didn't even play the whole game. Brett Osweiler came in and finished it out. The Eagles, other than week 1 against the Redskins, who had a horrible defense, have done nothing at all. And basically what they've preached to the choir is that they're going to run more plays, like so many more plays than all these other opponents. But in fact, it's been the other way around. Their opponents have run more plays than they have. So a little bit of backfire for Chip Kelly. Some controversy there. And we'll see what happens with the Eagles. But the Broncos continue to roll, and they are looking for far more than just an appearance in the Super Bowl. Next game is Washington at Oakland. I mean, RG3 did not look especially great in this one again. However, they did get the win 24-14. Terrell Pryor was supposed to start this game. He was scratched early with an injury. Matt Flynn got the start. Didn't really do much to impress, only putting up 14 points against that Washington defense. So 24-14, the Redskins get their first win of the year. The next game, Dallas at San Diego. Dallas, another one of those teams that look very different on the road than they do at home. They were 2-0 at home this year, and they are only 0-2 on the road. And you could say that Phillip Rivers is having a great start to the year, which he is, but the Dallas Cowboys look like a completely different team on the road. And Tony Romo continues to struggle late in the fourth quarter in these road games, and continues to look for Jason Witten a lot, and I feel like not Dez Bryant enough. So we'll see what goes on there. The Chargers take this one by a score of 30-21. And that brings us to the Sunday night football game. Sunday night game was the Patriots at the Falcons. Falcons continue to have red zone struggles and offensive struggles. For the most part, New England bottled up Julio Jones in this game. Roddy White continues to be a non-factor with his Achilles injury. We'll see when he gets back to full strength. Other than that, the Patriots take this 30-23. They do suffer a big loss on defense. Vince Wilfork will be out for the year. He tore his something. But he'll be out for the year, so that's a big loss for the Patriots. But anyway, Brady continues to do this without Amendola, Hernandez, and Gronkowski. It makes you wonder what's it going to be like when they get back. And this guy by the name of DeAndre Hopkins is all of a sudden taking the Patriots wide receivers by storm, and he's done a very good job these last couple of weeks. Look for him to get more and more targets as the year goes on. And finally, the Monday Night Football game. Miami at New Orleans. Coming in, a lot of people were thinking, 3-0 versus 3-0. The Dolphins look good. In their last 3 games, they beat the Falcons, and they beat the Colts, and they beat a couple other teams along the road. But in this one, they really struggled. Tannehill struggled. And New Orleans at home with that crowd and that energy, and then Drew Brees and all his weapons around him, including Darren Sproles, who had a big game, really outweighs any kind of opposition. And with Peyton back as coach, the Saints are looking at like a very, very different team this year, and one that might possibly go deep into the playoffs. So they take this one by a score of 38-17, and New Orleans goes to 4-0 as opposition to last year when they went 0-4. So that pretty much wraps up Cover 2 for Week 4. Stay tuned and tune in to Cover 2 for Week 5 next week. Thanks for watching, and I'm Billy Petty.